everybody. I am thrilled you're here for our Narcissism Expert Interview Series. This is number 4, and it is with my good friend Patti Mason, who is a CBD oil, hemp oil expert, as well as a self-defense expert. Now we both, hey Patti, nice to see you. So we both have experience in dealing with narcissists in our life. And one of the ways that I've really been able to make that work. Let's see. I need to add Patti. Hang on just a second. We're going to add her. Excellent. And she'll be here any minute. Very cool. Dun, 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 dun. Adding. While we're waiting for her, tonight's topic is about how narcissists can make you a better, happier person, how it can benefit you actually in the long run. If you find yourself in an environment with a narcissist, how going through the process, how healing from the process, how evolving and growing from the process really can make you a happier person overall. So we have both been, let's see, Patti's still trying to come. Okay, looks like Patti declined. We'll try again in just a second. So we've both been through the ringer with narcissists in our life. My main one was actually when I was growing up. I ended up with a large number of narcissists. Let me double check. I had a lot of narcissists in my life, but the main one was when I was a kid with my dad. And he was narcissistic because he struggled with depression. He struggled with trauma from his past. He struggled with family dynamics. And because of that, because he struggled so much, it meant that he behaved in a very narcissistic sort of way. Looks like my connection is a little bit low. I'm not quite sure why. And we're still waiting for Patti too. So people behave like narcissists in a number of different reasons and on kind of a spectrum, the spectrum of how bad they are, let's say, how out of touch they are with things. We all have a narcissistic side to us. We all have when we're in a place of fight or flight, when we're in a place of survival mode, what happens is that we behave in a very self-protective way. We tend to behave in a way that's in our own preservation. It's actually a different part of our brain. It goes from our frontal lobe and it hooks into our primal, the primal part of our brain. The one that says, you need to protect yourself at all costs. And so a lot of people, especially these days, are behaving in a very narcissistic way. Because they are in a constant state of fight or flight. They can't even get out of it. They can't even get to a rational state of mind in the first place. And that's a real problem. That's a very big problem for everybody involved. And many times we ourselves are narcissists because we get stressed out. And when we get too stressed out, we start behaving in ways that help us take care of ourselves, that are more self-absorbed, that are more based on how we feel and what we need at the moment. And what that can do is be insensitive to other people in our lives. It can be insensitive to the people that need us, the people who are looking for us, or the people who are just, they want more or they need more. And so one of my rules of thumb is that when I look at something and I'm judgmental about it and I have a problem with it, I know I just need to wait and see a little bit. Because after I wait and see, then usually within a little while, I'll notice that, yeah, I exhibit some of those same behaviors. I exhibit some of those same issues or problems, just maybe for different reasons. And of course, when I do it, it's okay. But when somebody else does it, it's not okay. So narcissism, one, is kind of a, it's a spectrum. And it's also based on how we particularly feel at the time, what part of our brain that we're in, whether we are in fight or flight. So how can narcissists make us into like better people? How can it make us into people that are kinder and happier overall and more peaceful? Well, from the narcissists that I've had in my life, in a variety of ways, whether it was coworkers, whether it was, my home life when I was growing up, one of the main things that they do is they make you need to raise yourself to a higher standard, raise yourself to a standard of beingness, of sensitivity to your surroundings. Now, at the beginning, it looks like walking on eggshells, doesn't it? At the beginning, it feels like you have to tiptoe around so that you don't set somebody off. And when we start to move through that, when the fear and the anxiety starts to get too much of us, we find that we are very empathic, sensitive sorts of human beings. That anxiety actually makes us more sensitive to our surroundings. Now, that can be a really good thing, because if you remember a few years ago, the biggest focus was on how numb everybody was, how checked out everybody was, and how disconnected, how they couldn't see or think or feel anything about anybody else. And what narcissism does when you have a narcissist in your life is it heightens your sensitivity to everything around you. You go from maybe not being aware to other people to suddenly being hyper aware and hypersensitive. And when that happens, we start to realize, hey, Patti, I still can't bring you on. I'm not quite sure. And it doesn't show that you're here. Not quite sure why I can't bring you on. But try adding yourself. See if that works out, okay? And if you add yourself, then I'll make sure that I'll add you as well. I do have a little bit of a low network connection, so we're struggling a little bit, I think. I don't know what it looks like on the other end. So one of the benefits of ending up being in a high stress, high anxiety environment is we become more empathic and we become more sensitive to the other people in our lives too. One of the things that I found, because I became more sensitive, was I would notice the kind people in my life and the nice people in my life, and I started to treat them better. I started to treat the people that mattered to me better, partially because now I had somebody who was, making me feel anxious or upset, drawing my attention to maybe how I treated people. That whole weird gaslighting thing where you sit there and you think you're crazy and you're doing everything wrong. For the other people in your life, they start to benefit. They start to do much better. You know what? We're having a hard time getting Patti on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish and then I'm going to start again. So if you hang out just a few minutes, I will be right back and we'll see if we can get her on. Okay? Cool. See you in a bit. Bye.